Welcome to Cardboard Canes. We are your hosts today. I am Mr. Demno.
I'm Sweepy, and today we're going to be reviewing Prey, 2017 reboot of the PS2 game with the same name, created by Arkane Studios and published by 2K Gaming.
The 2017 reboot is developed by Arkane Studios and published by Bethesda Softworks.
Prey is a first-person action-adventure game set on Talos 1, a space station orbiting the moon that was built to study an alien species called the Typhon.
You play as Morgan Yu, a lead researcher aboard Talos 1. You are studying the alien organism, however, an incident occurs and containment fails. We will rate the game based on 6 different categories. We will be looking at story, gameplay, characters, graphics, music, and theme. Each area of the game will be rated from 0 to 5. After giving each category a grade, we shall determine the final grade of the game.
Well, I went deeper into the game because you were trying to get as far into the story as you could to see how fast it would take. If I had actually done that, I might have actually been further than you yesterday. You did die like 3 times.
But I'm not sure if you would have gone further. Yes, you had more supplies here and there, but that's because you were going so in depth into it.
Well, yeah, and then I was trying to rescue people. And I probably got a couple of people killed. Okay, it's really hard to save people in this game.
That's for sure.
Like, holy shit, you lost like 3 people fighting the stupid telepaths.
Yeah.
But that's because the damn thing kept shooting at you.
I only lost 2 in my defense. I don't like 10 people.
We're just we're gonna count, you know, all the people we saved. The people who were dead, they were already dead. They were dead when I got here.
But yeah, story.
Well, the story revolves almost entirely around the player character Morgan Yu. For the story, it's entirely revolving around not just Morgan Yu, but also the player character's older brother, Alex Yu, who is the leader of Talos 1. Basically, the head scientist, head engineer, he's the director. He's the president of Talos 1. He runs the whole thing.
Basically. But yeah, that's also where the story kind of fades, in my opinion.
Well, the story slows down a lot until you get to the individual different points. And like in my gameplay, you will discover that the neuromods are not just based on Typhon physiology, but they are made from Typhon material.
Yeah, but I quickly already assumed that without needing to read about that.
Well, yeah, you assumed it. It's just like, but then I went to the different areas because I went into the fabrication, discovered that the head engineer for fabricating neuromods figured out what the neuromods are made of, but, you know, he started piecing together what the neuromods are made of, and then wanted to stop production of neuromods and tried destroying all the plans. But you show up at the perfect time, and he's already been killed himself, trying to remove his own neuromods by hand, and you basically stop the computer from destroying the neuromod plans. And I don't know what's worse, the fact that you need these neuromods to basically power up your character to survive every impending threat as it follows along. But the more you use them, the less human you become.
Yeah, but I also think that's a choice you can make in the game, because really I haven't seen an area that you can solve with or without the abilities you get from the neuromods. Well, there are multiple ways around it. Yes, there are more easy ways to do certain things, there are harder ways to do certain things. There's not really clear cut, okay, you necessarily need to do this.
Well, and then there's also choices. I think Arkane did Dishonored, but there were choices you could do in Dishonored. I mean, you had the passive route, and you had the aggressive route, and then in this game you have the technological route, or you have the alien route. That's what I'm seeing, because if you level up the scientist, the engineer, and the security trees, you'll have all the skills you need to get everywhere. But maybe you wouldn't get into that area as quickly as if you turned into a cup.
Basically. But honestly, I do think that a full human run would involve not using any neuromods at all.
Or
because the very fact how neuromods work is, even if you're only enhancing in those 3 skill lines, you're basically still becoming inhuman.
You're becoming superhuman. And I think, honestly, it would be really interesting. The Eradicator turrets that you find and make and put up all around the area, I would think that it would be really interesting that if you used enough neuromods to boost the alien skill tree, that eventually that those turrets can't differentiate between you and the Typhon.
It'll be interesting to see, but we didn't get that far into those trees to be able to see that.
Oh yeah. Oh, by the way.
But back to the story. Since now we're going more into mechanics and gameplay.
Yeah. Well, we jumped
Not
into
to
the
deviate
gameplay.
too much. The story itself, well, yeah, it's just quite easy. You get in, you were stuck in simulation, get out, find out something horrible happened, find out there's a plan set into place to stop this horrible problem, which is the containment field. And well, congrats, it's you that set it in place, and you didn't remember because, well, all the horrible things that happened to you because of the neuromods.
Well,
And then you have to go around the station to find materials to get further, and well, basically trying to get choice of destroying or continuing the research.
Well, and then you have the other problem of, like, in Dishonored, and then this game plays a lot like Bioshock. And you have the other problem of that, in terms of the story, most of the story gets explained to you through recordings, or notes that you find, or emails that you find on the various computer terminals throughout the game. So, really, the story's not bad, it's just that it's really not strong. It honestly suffers from the same problem that Dishonored and Bioshock suffered from. It has an interesting story and a great amount of lore, but since your character never actually talks about anything in the game, you really don't get a lot of extra information aside from hunting down all these different lore items.
Basically, and not just that, it's also the very concept of this is also not that original. Fairly
we're in space, we did something we probably shouldn't have, and now there's an alien menace trying to literally murder everything and everyone. So, wait, that's Dead Space, sorry.
Yeah, basically. And there are more games like that, so the story here and there is definitely lacking. It's watched good at the same time, and at the same time it's
nothing new. That's kind of the problem, and it's also kind of not the problem. Because, I mean, if it was something new, they could have just completely screwed it up. But if, now that, they're following basically a fairly generic platform of scientists found alien breaks 3, alien wants to murder everyone, protagonist has to stop the alien. I mean, like that's every sci-fi movie from the 80s and up, and almost every single video game involving science fiction.
But yeah, that's basically the story, and that's just a little sad to me, and because of that, the story wasn't that enjoyable to me. But this gives me a pretty good segue into gameplay, because I really enjoyed the gameplay, because the mechanics in this game are fantastic.
Well, and then, personally, I like hunting down every single lore item you could possibly find, so the story is a little bit better for me, but mostly because I don't say bother, I take that time to go hunt down these lore items so I can find interesting things. Like, there are interesting characters that unfortunately you don't actually get to meet because they've already been killed. It's 2017. I get the appeal of silent protagonists, but when later in a certain point in the game where you get to hear your character's voice talking to you in a recording, the whole appeal of the silent protagonist is gone, because now you know what your character sounds like. Your character has a voice. They can talk. You're not like some strong silent type like Gordon from Half-Life. You actually say things. I mean, it's only in a recording, but you actually say things.
That's quite a lot more at it.
Oh yeah, and then you have to go through an entire quest just to figure out what the rest of the information that you wanted to give yourself was in the recording. But no, as far as the general mechanics are concerned, the gunplay is great, the melee mechanics are great. You have interesting mechanics involving the powers you get and the upgrades you can get through the neuromods, which are basically like your Adam from Bioshock and your, bone charms from Dishonored? Only you can't uninstall.
Well, bone charms are temporary, but it is the runes in Dishonored.
The runes, okay. So your chips that you can install in your suit and your psychoscope, which you get later in the game, are your bone charms, and then the neuromods are your runes.
Yep.
And once you've made a decision, you're sunk. But you have the benefit of being able to create more neuromods if you take the time to get them all the materials to make them. I think it's the mechanic, because we did notice this in our gameplay, that I was fighting stronger enemies sooner than you were because of the amount of time I was taking.
I really don't think it was sooner. I think we encountered them at the same time, but not chronologically speaking the gameplay. I really mean as in 2.5 hours into the game, this just gets stronger. It's not as in, oh hey, you're this far into the game. No, it's you've been taking this long to get anywhere, and this anywhere part really doesn't matter. Because down the line, when I was a bit further than you, I spent a lot further, I was taking a little longer in the area, and I started noticing that enemies started respawning and stronger enemies started popping up, so it really is just a mechanic where the game is trying to push you to get through it as fast as possible.
Well, and the other thing is that, speaking of the recording of the player character, you didn't encounter a bunch of greater mimics right outside your office, when I did. But I think, again, that was probably because of the amount of time it took me, because I fought, the Technopath enemy, like, in the first hour and a half of the game, where you didn't encounter your first Technopath until about 4 hours into the game.
Yeah, but honestly, I think I encountered where you're supposed to encounter it versus where you were not supposed to encounter it yet. Also, I think my Technopath was stronger than yours.
I think your Technopath was a lot stronger than mine, but I also did get kind of lucky because I threw a recycler grenade at it and it killed all the turrets floating around it, and all the other turrets in the area were damaged or destroyed. And then I also didn't have to fight a Phantom and 4 mimics on top of...
Well, for regular mimics, 4 greater mimics, 2 normal phantoms, a flame phantom, an electric phantom, and then the Technopath. I think that area was boss fight.
I think it was supposed to be a boss fight. And then you have the other problem of you actually walked into a room. I was like, alright, to get out of this room, I have to complete the experiment. Hit button. And I was like, alright, what's this thing? Oh, that's boss. It's just like, what an interesting way to introduce the boss, because you get all these really great music. The music is fantastic. And when something terrible goes wrong, the game enjoys to let you know that something horrible is about to happen to you.
But yeah, some of the more interesting abilities in the game is, yes, you can turn into a cup, just like the mimics, or a chair, or
teleport around like the Phantom, or shoot energy blasts like the Phantom.
Oh, those energy blasts. Oh, they save me so much.
Well, they save you so much because you have so little ammo. Me, I've been literally running around hitting everything I possibly can with the wrench versus using my ammunition.
Yeah, but you've seen in my case where I'm fighting several elemental phantoms at the same time. I don't think you've encountered that scenario that much.
I fought the electric phantom and the fire phantom at the exact same time.
Yeah, and I saw that part, and you were...
I shot the fire phantom and I beat the electric phantom to death. To be fair, I do use my guns. I haven't been using my guns as much as you.
Well, to be fair, it might look like I'm using my guns more, but in retrospective, I also have a lot less ammo, so...
You have a lot less ammo, so you can't use it as much as I have been. But, no, well, see, that's another interesting mechanic. When you run out of ammo, you aren't entirely screwed, because 1, you do have your wrench, and then 2, if you can get the materials or recycle the junk items or extra weapons you find throughout the game, you can get the materials you need to go to a fabricator and build what you need. And if you accidentally recycle your only pistol, if you find the schematic for it, you can remake another pistol.
Yeah, but there are I've encountered 10 pistols in the game already.
Being able to do that is really, really interesting. And then you can make medkits, you can make ammunition, you can make neuromods again if you have the schematic for it.
Well, you can make neuromods right off the bat, but you need the key to be allowed to do so.
Well, because you need to go... The guy who stops the production of the neuromods...
Has the key, man.
He has the key, and then you need to basically reset the computer, saying that he's not the only one who can make neuromods, so continue production of neuromods. So, and then, well that's the...
You ended push the fat man?
Yeah, I pushed the fat man.
But that's also very interesting. The computers in this game are interactive. Sometimes a little annoying to use because, well, when you find an interface to interact with, you think, oh, left mouse click, and then you just branch it, or shoot it, or cool ball it, or side blast it.
Well, yeah, and you accidentally beat up the computer monitors all the time, and then you either have to take the time to hit the key to actually be glued to it. You have to sit there and hover so you can watch your surroundings. Because you can either engage with the screen and only look around the screen in a limited scale, or you have to stand in front of it so you can watch your back, and then you have to play with the mouse control in order to hit each individual button. It's kind of a pain in the ass. Now, with the interesting mechanics out of the way, I have a problem with the characters. For all the secondary characters that have been introduced, majority of the living humans that you encounter are under mind control.
To a certain point, but where I got at, there is quite a lot of people that are not mind controlled. And when I looked at security terminals and I counted up all the people that are supposed to be alive, that's a lot less than the people I've already encountered. That's also something I noticed.
Well, I think each individual security terminal has its own
List of people, that's
well,
also possible.
their ranking, because I went into the volunteers ward. There's a security terminal, and they only list the volunteers. But it's the only terminal that lists the volunteers. So each terminal would have, you know, a certain list of people. The other problem is that the ones you do encounter really don't make you want to like them. Because except for the one doctor you rescued in the pod, nobody else in the station really likes you. I mean, there was a lot of people who did like you, but majority of those people from the audio logs are dead. Or under mind control, or literally missing, because we still haven't found them yet. But majority of the people that are still alive really don't like your character or your brother.
Many don't like my brother, but they're definitely taking it out on you as well.
Well, they're definitely taking it out on you, because also with all the neuromod experimentation being done on Morgan, you will walk in one day, order parts, and then Morgan would come in the next day and order those exact same parts with no memory of having ordered them earlier. Because I found a lore module that said Morgan's ordered enough parts to fix every operator on the station 6 times over. And I don't think you use that many parts to build your own personal operator who helps you, try and walk through the rest of the game. And then the other problem is that it's just, honestly, the models remind me of the models you see in the Dishonored game, but they're really not that good looking. I mean, the models in Dishonored had this, like, kind of gritty realism to them. None of the models in this game so far looked appealing to me, except for your own character model, because your own character model is really the only model that looks good.
Well, not just that, since now we're going to transition into graphics. The graphics on one hand look amazing, on the other hand, there are definitely issues, since a lot of the models don't look right. And I mean, you have somebody floating half mid-air, and the character models of other characters, they look kind of bland, especially compared to the environment, whereas the environment looked fantastic again.
Well, I mean, the environment is beautiful, and the fact that you can walk up to these digital screens and walk up on one side and it shows, the California, beachside cityscape of the bay, but then you tap it and it turns out to be just a glass window. And then you can have this contrast between, over here is a projected image of the city, and then right here is this dark, poorly lit laboratory space right next to each other through broken glass. And then you were in the Arboretum, and
we found a waterfall, and I was like...
we found a waterfall, and that
we
looked
got attacked
fantastic.
by mimics, and we were like, oh shit, mimics can turn into lily pads. So I was like, I want to make sure that all mimics are dead. I hit lily pad. Glass bridge. What?
Well, it's like, so the mimics walked over, and they started mimicking the lily pads, but then you walk over, they activate, but they were mimicking something that wasn't actually physically there. They were mimicking a false object. And see, that threw me off. See, if we had known that the waterfall was a digital display, but the lily pads sitting on top of them were 3-dimensional, we might have been able to notice that, hey, there's a bunch of mimics over here. But since we couldn't even tell that this beautiful looking waterfall
was real or not,
you got jumped by 5 mimics and a greater mimic at the exact same time. It was just like, that was well done. I mean, the lighting in this game is also really good. It's a little dark, but of course that fits the area you're in half the time. But then you have the water shines with light, the clean floors shine with light. It's just visually a great looking game. But then you look at the character models, excluding Morgan's model, and all of them have, like, they're all clipping with something.
All clipping, and in general, they don't have the same amount of...
They don't have the same amount of texture in detail as Morgan's.
or the environment. Since, yeah, you can have less detail than Morgan as long as it's the same level as the environment, but that's not the case either. And we're running as high as we possibly can.
Yeah, and then all the models that I don't have an issue with for the human models, all the models I don't have an issue with are dead. Like, all the living people that we've encountered, you notice that they have like this oily sheen on their skin.
Yeah, I know.
It's like, it's really off-putting.
Also, the wrenches look weird.
Well, I don't understand why the wrench has a twist in the handle.
No, I don't either.
It's just random, but I mean, it's a pipe wrench. It's a glorified pipe wrench. It's really Bioshocky.
But yeah, they really are doing a great job at displaying everything just to be creepy enough.
And then the Typhons look great.
Oh, as
enemies, they look fantastic, and the mimics, because the way the detailing is that the mimic model for an object has to be different than the static object. But unless you watch that mimic run over and turn into that, 9 out of 10, you are not going to tell that it's a mimic. I walked into a room with one chair and a dead body sitting on the chair, and I walked over and the chair turned into a mimic. And the body falls down. I was like, really? How bored was this fucking mimic? He's been sitting here for probably days with a corpse sitting on top of him.
Actually, not days. The breakout happened right before you start actually playing, because when you're in the test chamber, that's the day of the breakout. They get seduced and you wake up the next morning.
Sedated, not seduced.
Sedated, my bad.
But no, and then it's at least a day. It's at least 24 hours, because a
Maybe
lot of the bodies have been
2
around.
or 3, that's about it. The bodies don't very depth. That's how the Typhon operates.
No,
They show you this in the game. They literally just take everything out of you and it just...
Yeah, but then you have the doctor who was murdered. The first person you see get murdered before you get knocked out because of the gas. They've managed to move his body all the way to the other side of the station. So, I mean, there's that.
Yeah, but keep in mind, the Typhoon, and especially the Phantoms, are fast.
That too, and they spread really, really quickly.
Yeah, if they have enough, if they've been fat enough, they just split into 4.
Yeah, because you had that one mimic who murdered the guy in front of you while you were in the decontamination room.
Yep.
And you watch it, and it splits into 4 different mimics. And then you know now that there's 4 different mimics in the room in front of you. Because, that's what I needed this morning. I needed some kind of random alien menace murdering people right in front of me. And you know what? That does bother me. That's another, have you noticed that in trend for, horror-like games? You walk into a room and the door's locked and something has to happen for the door in front of you to open.
Yep.
And somebody's in front of you and he's screaming and then he gets violently murdered.
I think it happens in so many games, so let's just not start counting it.
So the first thing you need to know
Because, it's like, it happens so much. And it's just, thankfully, at this point...
Oh, that's where you got the stun gun.
Oh, yeah, that's where I found the first stun gun.
Oh, that's 500 emeralds. That's glorious.
Yeah, and then I wasn't really using it because the game flat out...
You also
tells
got this impact AB, that really helped you a lot.
Oh, yeah, the greater chance to stun people with my wrench.
Yep.
Yeah, I love the hell out of that. I love that. I can tell you that one. And see, it tells you it's good against robots and humans, but it's not that good against Typhons. So I never really used it because...
Well, I only started using it when I got into the mind control area.
Well, yeah, and then...
But that also moves me to the guns and weapons you get. Most of them look pretty darn good.
Well, I mean, you have your wrench for your backup and your, basic crushing everything in sight. It's really great for sneak attacking mimics. Because
Yeah.
if you know it's a mimic, or you're just really paranoid that it might be a mimic, you can either swing it really quick and stun it, so you can hit it again, or you can charge up and do a heavy attack and smash it in one shot.
It's just in general, most of the guns just look good, most of the weapons look good, most of the abilities look good. So in general, the graphics are up there.
Oh yeah, and then the lightning.
Aside from the character mods.
Aside from the character models, I think that's the only problem I have with the graphics is the character models. And I think that's what throws me off for the characters themselves when you encounter them as well. So, and then the music.
Yep.
I said it earlier, but the music in this game is so fantastic. There's so many different parts in this game where I just barely walk into a room and the creepiest fucking music starts playing and I immediately panic, pull out my strongest weapon, sit in a corner, and I wait, and then nothing happens, and I feel like a jackass.
That happens to me way too much. But there's one big issue that I have with the music, and that's happened to me like 4 times. A great song starts playing, and the song gets interrupted by the creepy music, and I'm like, finally, a bit of relaxing music, just pump you back up, and then just... Nyeh.
Oh, wait, sorry, we have to remind you where you are. No happy thoughts. It's like just, that one track that started playing, that really soft kind of guitar track, that was a great track.
I know.
I want to hear more of that track, but then immediately the creepy music plays because the stupid poltergeist shows up.
That too.
You don't know how to fight the damn thing, and it's bouncing around everywhere, and it's throwing stuff at you, and then you gave up and just started shooting at it while it was invisible. I mean, hell, I wish I knew I could do that. I literally walked around, waited for it to bump into something, ran over, and then started beating it with my wrench.
Yeah, I was like, I got shotgun, it's accurate as fuck, it's invisible, you know what?
This is a match made in heaven. Spread gun versus an invisible creature. Let's see what happens, folks.
Basically, so it just went up, just walked up for some stupid reason where I encountered for the first time, and was like, it's somewhere right around there. Plop. Oh, hey, it's right there. Plop, 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 it's that.
The music cues are really good, especially when a mimic shows up. Or when a boss fight starts, or when something you've not encountered yet shows up. They're really, really useful for those situations.
So yeah, the music really plays very well, as in it really messes with you, it really is able to alert you, it really, keeps you going.
You really can't play this game without the music.
It's a very important factor of the game, but sometimes there are a few tracks that are really great to listen to. I always love being able to listen to them, but they always get short, and it just
like, can't I just hide in the corner real quick and just listen to this relaxing track? It feels like amnesia right now.
Yeah, I literally was in a room, the door's locked behind me, and I was in that room, there was nothing in that room, I cleared it, and then the track started playing, I was like, I'll just let go of the controls, just listen for a bit, and it was good short. And I'm like,
and then the really
that's a perfect moment where I
music.
could be like, okay, just keep playing, there's nothing can happen right now.
And then the really creepy music starts playing again, and it's just like, no, stop it. Why can't you just let me have this brief moment of good audio and just let me have this? Why can't you let me have this?
But how well the music is executed also gives me a great segue into the theme, which is very well executed, since I've been thinking about where could you execute such a theme? Well, space, obviously, in space station or on an alien planet or a spaceship. The only option is actually underwater, but that's often very similar to being in space.
Although I think being underwater would be honestly just a little bit creepier in the water than it is in space. But the theme itself is actually still really well executed. I really do like this game. And it's just, I mean, there's a few problems. You had that one glitch where you tried going up the grav lift and it sucked you into this null space of broken graphics, and you had no idea what the hell
clipped
happened.
through the door. I now was stuck in between different areas now.
It's like you didn't even get into the lift. You literally you started activating the lift, and then you clipped through the ceiling because it couldn't pull you into the lift fast enough, and you're stuck out in this empty space. I mean, it was funny as hell, but it's really some problem. And then also difficulty, I think, would be part of the theme, right?
Yeah, the difficulty ramps up in a nice way.
It ramps really hard, and it's not horrible ramping like Dark Souls horrible ramping, but it does ramp on you.
It definitely ramps you, but it's not like, oh hey, you just got into a new area, we need to make sure that you're going to die.
It was like, by the way, you just entered this area, you are required to die at least 5 times before you can figure out that this is the right area.
It's not that kind of ramp.
It's not that.
It really is just the kind of ramp that lets you know that these creatures are spreading, and they're spreading fast, and you need to act
as quickly as humanly possible.
Yes.
With the difficulty, though, ties into the music, too, because the difficulty and the music basically tie into each other. The music lets you know when something horrible is going to happen. And it's really bad when you walk in, there's no music playing, and so you think, oh, right, nothing can go wrong. And then a mimic pokes you in the back, and then suddenly the creepiest track ever plays. And now you're fighting for your life versus a bunch of mimics who didn't bother to wake up the instant you walked into the room, but only until you walked past them into a dead end. I mean, the AI are smart.
Yes and no. I've had a phantom derp on the door.
Okay, they're not always smart. The mimics, I think, are the smartest.
They're definitely probably the smartest. Well,
some of them. Some of them are. Some
the
of them do
electric
dirt.
phantom is also quite smart, since it knows it's able to use water in its advantage, and it tries to do this as much as possible.
And it also can clone itself.
That's only one of them. That's the Etheric phantom.
Yeah, but I mean, it does try and use everything it has in its arsenal to kill you. And the mimics, sometimes they derp, sometimes they'll try and turn into something and then turn into like the most obvious thing. But what's really smart is that some mimics, they'll attack you, get attacked, and if you don't stun them and kill them quick enough, they'll run off, turn into something, and that actually restores their health.
Not a lot, just a little bit, but...
Well, if you can't find them quick enough, it'll fully restore their health.
Yeah, but they tend to jump around a lot.
Well, because they are trying to kill you.
Yeah.
To be fair.
So unless you were to stay still and wait for them, they'll most likely jump on you again.
Or you walk and you accidentally do something. Then you had that one mimic who derped, ran straight into the explosive canister, killed itself, and then nearly killed the phantom next to it. So that was useful, because the mimic was on your side that time. I guess for the scoring, for the story, 4.5 stars. Give the gameplay a 4. The characters are 3.5, mostly because the prior complaints we had about them. The music and the theme for me are both 5s. The theme is really well executed and the music is fantastic. So overall, probably about a 4.5 for the game out of 5.
Getting graphics.
Okay, yeah, and the graphics would be a 5. So I guess overall I can call it a 5. Well, I mean, my only real biggest complaints were with the characters, but that's honestly not a terrible thing. That's just me. That's my personal...
That's indeed true.
Well, it's not just my personal, and then the other complaints about the character developments for the other characters, and the fact that you have voice lines, but for some reason they decided to opt for a silent protagonist throughout the entirety of the game. It's like, that just seemed like a bad decision to me. Maybe not a bad decision, but not the best.
That's definitely true. But for me, I'm a little more strict. The music definitely scores a 4. But not much higher than that, because, well, like I said, I want to be able to listen to certain tracks when they start playing and just enjoy it for a bit. And here and there are actually opportunities to do that. But they didn't capitalize on that. For the story, well, it's bland. It's just 3.5 for me, because, well, yeah, it's well done, but it's not new, and yeah, you get story mainly through voice clips. It's not always the best way, but it works, but that's it, it works. The gameplay to me is great. 4.5, no problem. There's really no complaints about about that in general. Gameplay is good, melee is good.
Well,
The crafting is easy enough to do, but also tedious enough that it doesn't become overpowered.
then you can tell from your gameplay you went to the Dishonored school of how not to look up, because you spend a lot of the time just jumping up walls just to avoid certain areas. Whereas I did the Bioshock method and just charged straight in. So
Yeah.
two varying schools of gameplay, but I had real fun charging in playing it like a Bioshock game.
The graphics for me is a 4. The models really bug me a lot. And the clippy and a few other glitches I encountered. There is some polishing required here and there in my opinion, and it would have just been a lot better in that case. Then I move into basically the characters. The characters for me is a 3. It's flat out 3. I'm just not going to go higher than that because, well, it really doesn't deserve it. They're bland, they're dull, and there are maybe 2 or 3 characters that flashed out to me. It might be because I don't sidetrack as much, but it's not really easy to relate to a character.
Well, not without finding all of their audio logs and finding out basically everything about their character.
Yeah, but even then I'm not able to relate to them. It's just, well, great, that's who you was. Great, you're dead now, so... Last but not least, the team was executed brilliantly, and there's not really much I can say about it, so it's just going to be a soft part. Which really does bring me to basically a 4 overall.
So, all in all, really good game. I really do like this game. Overall, between us, I gave it a 4.5 to 5. You gave it a solid 4.
Mm-hmm.
Overall, between the two of us, maybe call it a flat 4.5. Prey 2017, not to be confused with Prey 2006.
But yeah, overall, just a very good game, a very enjoyable game, with enough to keep you occupied for quite a while, and you're able to binge play this.
Oh yeah, I honestly, this is one of those kinds of games.
It's definitely
the replayability factor in this game is definitely high.
yeah, really. The replayability factor really doesn't lie in finding new things, because if you found all your claims, that's about it. But the replayability in this game really lies in how quick can I get to the end.
Not just how quick, but you know, I went through this way this one time. What happens if I go through another way another time? Just thinking back on it, like right at the start of the game, I found the card key sitting on the desk and walked straight through the door. I still haven't actually gone through the maintenance shaft airlock right next to that. So that makes me really curious as to what would I find if I had actually gone through the maintenance shaft versus straight through the door. Because there are a lot of different paths that you can go through in certain areas. Like you jump up through walls and through windows where I brute forced it and tried to find the card keys and the passcodes. So there's just a bunch of different ways you can go through a single area. And even the enemies, there's a bunch of different ways you can choose how to find each individual enemy.
Which is also why the pre-order is a little cheap, because it's not good for pre-order.
Well, unless you're like me and you went through everything and you found the shotgun before you even got to your own office so you could get the pre-order.
Yeah, okay, I kinda chased getting to the office.
You did. You climbed up the stairs, shot the glue gun at the wall, and then climbed along the surface and then jumped in. You didn't even fight the things down there, except for that one instance where you accidentally fell off and all 5 of the mimics in that area spawned right on top of you. So,
That's
I mean, that
basically
was a little unfortunate, but that, to be fair, that one was your own fault. So,
I can live with it.
I wouldn't count the replay.
Wait, is it a blue screen of death? Wow, there's a computer in there with blue
Yeah,
screen of death.
there's a computer. And then, like, the subtle little environmental things that show up like that, they're funny. Like, you go through the game and you find out a lot of the people on the station, like there's 7 or 8 people on the station, not only designed a Nerf gun for their roleplay, you could find everybody's character sheets, their stat bonuses, and they're playing a really futuristic Dungeons and Dragons like game. And it's just funny as hell.
Well, the version is quite simple. They're all big ass fucking nerds.
Well, honestly, if you're going to live on a space station for most of your life, you have to be a big nerd. But, I mean, I just thought it was great that you walk in and you find a Nerf crossbow, basically, and a bunch of character sheets, and even the rule guide for this D&D-esque tabletop roleplay. The environmental themes like that, they're just so great to walk into. Alright, so, to be fair, 4.5 total score. It's out on Windows, PlayStation 4, and Xbox One. And really, overall, just a really great game. I would play this multiple times over, and I think that's a really good for a game when you can sit there and say, I wouldn't mind playing this for the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, or 5th time. But definitely at least try the demo for this game. And if you can get it full price or on sale, either way,
It is worth the full price.
it is definitely worth the full price. I would definitely say that this game is worth the full price. I guess that's it for us. Again, we are Cardboard Kings. I want to thank you for joining us on our pilot episode, actually. And, well, with that, we'll see you in the next one.
Take care, and if you want to see more, subscribe, like us. That also in general help us out. See you next time.